What is up, Mentors Collective? Thank you for joining me on another awesome episode. Now, listen, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you're selling anything, man, I mean anything, a product, a service, the story is really what is going to hook your audience. When you're doing your marketing, it's going to be the first thing that they see, read, and that attracts them to you, makes them remember who you are and what your brand represents. So on this episode, I've got a guest with a very special story, and we're going to be diving into the power of story, why you should lead with it, how to present it, and how it can turn into your business's superpower. So to have this discussion, I've got a friend here, Lusene Donzo. He's a refugee. He has 2 grand mal seizures. He's been in an 8-hour coma, but that did not stop him from starting a 6-figure coaching business. And just want to thank you. I want to welcome you, Lusene, and I'm excited to talk to you about the power of brand story.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Jay, man. It's a pleasure and honor to be on your show. I've been following for a few months now. I love your story too, as far as, going from a doctor and just starting your PR business. So I appreciate being on your show.
Thank you, brother. And I didn't even know that you saw my story. So that just goes to show the power of story, right? That stuck with you probably a little bit. So it's interesting.
Yes.
And you've got a pretty interesting story yourself. So I would love to kind of open up before we dive into the power and how to utilize it, how to wield this weapon, this tactic. What is your story?
So my story is a little similar. I came in America as a refugee in 2004. When I came into America, I came with my stepmother and my younger siblings. Now, while I came in America, I've always wanted to be very successful. I've always wanted to have my own business, but, I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurship. So I decided to go to school where initially I didn't have any car initially. So I used to walk to school. And then after I joined the military, I made a decision after I joined the military that I was going to become an officer while I was working as a security officer. Something happened that really changed the course of my entire life, and that really put me in this mold where I really believe in the power story and how you can be able to get to where you want to go. So my life in 2016, October 20th, changed when I had a grand mal seizure where I broke my left shoulder and I dislocated my right shoulder, and I was in a hospital. I was in a coma for 8 hours. Now, the doctor, when I woke up out of my coma, the doctor told me one thing, and that stuck with me for the rest of my life. He said, "Young man, you are so lucky to be alive." And at the time I was 24, I didn't know what he meant. But now looking back, I realized that the seizure that I had, if I was not in the hospital at that time, I would have been dead. So it just goes to show that God really had something for me. And it also goes to show that, when you have a purpose on this earth, regardless of what happened, you can still go past it. So I had to go through 9 months of physical therapy. I had to go through all these things. While I was going through these things, the doctor, my neurologist said, you are not going to be able to commission as an officer. He told me that, hey, man, you should just, be okay with receiving disability. And that stuck out to me because I said, well, I didn't come in America to receive disability. I came in America to inspire, to go to school, get educated, inspire people, start my own business, and change millions of people around the world. So that was what I had. I held on to my dream and I fought for it. And eventually he said, wow, you're one of my only clients that really, when I told them something, they didn't really take my advice. They went against my advice. I was like, well, sir, I really want to be successful. And part of my success is me going through this. And I just took my story, everything that I undergo through that time with all the things I went through in the military, and I wrote a book. One of my first mentor, AJ, he was the one that actually mentored me. He told me, he said, you have a very powerful story. I believe that you should just write a book. And my life changed after that. My life, once I wrote my book, I got few speaking engagement. Then I got more paid speaking engagement. And after that, my life took off. That's kind of like the story, the synopsis of it, Jay.
No, I appreciate you sharing that with me. And it's funny, that you had this kind of near-death experience and you had to face your mortality. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of very successful people, and obviously I worked in medicine for a long time. And that's something that I've noticed too. When you have that near-death experience, when you have to face a challenge that might take your life early and you have to start thinking about, wow, I could have died or I'm going to die. It gives you a renewed reason for being here, a renewed motivation. And like you said, kind of a purpose. And it's interesting that you said that and you had that happen. So honestly, kudos to you for doing what you did, handling it the way that you did. And look at you now. I mean, you're on your way to, I'm sure, a 7-figure coaching business. So good lesson for a lot of people out there. Now let's dive into, how do you actually use your story? Because obviously you've been through some shit. A lot of people I know have been through some shit and they don't want to talk about it. So how do you talk about it? And did that take a while for you to open up and start sharing?
Yeah. So I use my story to inspire. Originally, when I first started my entrepreneur journey, what kickstarted my entrepreneur journey was my story when I first wrote my book, which became a bestseller with the help of my mentor. And then after that, I started going around high schools and university. Now, how I use my story is I tell people that there is a way that you can be able to use your story to market to your ideal customer, right? So once you understand that there are people that can resonate with your story, now you tie into, as an entrepreneur, what comes to you naturally that you can be able to add. So for me, I learned, coming from a broken home, where I didn't have good credit, I learned how to build, to repair my credit, where in 18 months, I ended up I went from 580 to 840. And when I went to 840, I just added that to my repertoire. Alex and Mosey always talk about skill. So that was a skill that I learned. So now that's something that I can be able to teach and coach people. And then after I learned, I have my master's in marketing and public relations. So I learned about branding. So I started my business. That's a skill, right? So my story, teaching people about credit, business credit, getting business funding and all those things, and then branding myself to where I gained a couple publications on Google and all those things. So now those are skill set, also leadership. I am a military captain, officer in the military, right? So I know a thing or two about being a leader. So that's how you just take small bit of things that you learn over the course of the year, and you learn how to package it. And when you package it, now you put it out there to your ideal customer. So that way, those who resonate with you can be able to resonate with your story, and they would be able to be buying customers on your program.
Right. And you mentioned a lot of things there that are really important. And essentially, running a successful business has so many different components. Right. You mentioned publications and personal branding. That's trust. Once you hook somebody with your marketing, whether it's ads or cold email or DMing, that's the hook. You got to get their attention. Then the story is essentially what gets them to relate to you, to like you, to empathize with you. And then that's when you hit them with the credibility and the offer. And all of those pieces need to be aligned for you to get the sale. And then obviously executing the sale is the skill portion that you mentioned. And it seems like you've got all that stuff figured out, but without one of those pieces, it's very hard to scale. It's very hard to be successful. The story specifically is, I think, where a lot of people lack. A lot of people know how to get attention. Look at me. Here's my ads. Here's my email. But they're not able to connect with their audience. And that's for a variety of different reasons. And I think as humans, we see vulnerability. We see people who are imperfect, and we can identify with them. We can relate to them. We can empathize with them, and then we can purchase from them because we like them. So your story, you're a refugee. Where did you come from originally?
So originally, I grew up in Monrovia, Liberia. That's when then I went on. I lived in a refugee camp in Ivory Coast. When the war happened in Ivory Coast, that's when, at the time, 2003 and 4, U.S. were accepting immigrants. That's how we came in America.
Okay, very interesting. Have you found that and I don't know if you've even tried this, but marketing to people who have been through similar things, or even marketing to people who have had grand mal seizures or epileptics. Because sometimes, marketing to people who have similar stories to you actually works really well. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, so one of the actual my ideal clients are people that I actually have been through similar things, such as people that came here as a refugee or came here as an immigrant, people in the military that are trying to start their business and make six figures, which is something that I have done, and also people that have had gone through a near death situation to where they have recovered, but they're trying to brand themselves and sell their story. One of my current client, she's 21 years old and she lost her mother. Myself and my team, we're helping her brand herself through her book. So yes, you're right, Jay. That's one of the ways that I try to be able to share my message through my various platform on social media to get those individuals to resonate with me. To hook them in and then help them gain some of the credibility that I have.
Beautiful. And Lusene, talk to me about somebody with a story coming to you and saying, I'm ready to, grow my business. I want to use this story. What are some steps that you can do to help that person cultivate their story in a way that's relatable and then actually implement their story in their marketing?
So if you come to me and you have a story, well, first and foremost, we have to find a point, right? A pressure point to where that can be able to resonate with people. So one ideal, I'm going to use my current client, for example. She's a 20-year-old female. She's young. Also, she lost her mother at a very young age. She got kicked out. So we're trying to sell pain point, right? Because people resonate with pain, people resonate with something. I mean, ideally, most of us resonate with certain things, but one of the things that get us is like, wow, I can't believe she went through all that. Everybody loves success story. So I'm going to help you get your success story by understanding what was some of the pain point that you went that happened to you. For me, grand mal seizure, was in a coma, dislocated my left shoulder, broke my right shoulder. And, that's it. For her, it's, lost your mother, got kicked out. Now you're starting your journey as an entrepreneur and you're going into Airbnb. So that's the first step. We have to, so I have a 5-step to your dream life where we align that to where we understand how are we going to get people to actually tap into your story through pain, right? And then once we get that, we're going to go on whether it's creating a book, digital products. So one of the things I always advise most people is put your book out there, right? Because once you put your book out there, you have that credibility. And then once we put a book, we're going to run a marketing campaign, which is something that most businesses do. So once we run a marketing campaign, we start sending out, collecting emails. So I'll tell a lot of my clients, you want to give something away for free. Right, because people love free. Once you get people in on your email, then you start retargeting them. So we'll create like a 5-step to how I overcame something, or a 10-step to get those people to buy into that. Now, once they buy into that, the next step is now to get them on your to get them to buy into your pre-launch of your book. Right. So you want to, because I always tell my clients, before you put out any product, you want to see who is interested in it. Right. Before I write any book, I make sure I have at least over 100 people that have already pre-bought the book. Basically, they're paying for it. Right. But that shows that there's an interest. So now once we know that, hey, this thing sells or people are interested in it, then we're going to continue to launch the marketing campaign and we're going to put in some ads. And then once we do that, it's going to take about 2 months. After 2 months, now, let's say we have about 100, 200, let's say 50. When you're starting up, let's say we have 50 to 100 people that is interested. Then we're going to launch the book and then we're going to have an upsell, right? So once they get the book, now another upsell can be, hey, maybe you can do a consultation for free or maybe if you've been in the entrepreneur game for a long time, you can maybe coach them on how they can overcome that. So ideally, is really getting your pain point and then writing like a 10-step of how you overcame that to get people to hook and buy in. Those who are hook and buy in, get on your email list, retarget them with your pre-course or your pre-book launch. Once they people are tapping into that, and then once you make that final sell, that offer, you do an upsell. It can be a video course, it can be a mentorship, but I suggest video course or something, because 9 times out of 10, ideally, people are not going to pay $5,000 if they haven't bought from you something similar to 500 to 1,000. And one of the things I always tell people is when people buy from you, they're in buying mode. So that means that you need to retarget them with something higher, which is one of the things I always tell all my clients to always make sure you have $100 offer, $500 offer, $1,000 offer, $3,000, $5,000, right? Before you know, that person has spent over $10,000 in a year, subconsciously without even thinking about it. So that's the process. I know it was long, but that's the process.
No, it's long, but it's valuable, especially for anyone out there running that business model, which I'm very familiar with. And it's very, very popular and it works. Having a value ladder that starts with your story, your thought leadership, and areas where you can help as a coach and as an expert. Typically, the most popular product people in that world are selling is going to be a digital course. Totally agree. It's awesome. It's the most scalable item on earth. And then, like you said, upsells and downsells, building the entire value ladder. The book, and let me know your thoughts on this, but generally works in 2 ways, right? It's an awesome lead magnet. You can give this thing away either really cheap or free. And 2, it establishes you as an expert in whatever the subject matter of the course is that you're teaching. So highly recommend anyone who's selling digital courses, digital products, or branding themselves, like you said, personal branding, as an expert, to have a book. And how hard is it? And obviously you have your clients do this as well, but to get a book published, is it tough?
For me, it's pretty easy. I've published 2 books. I learned it from one of my mentors, right? And one of my mentors, originally when I started entrepreneurship, he told me, he said, Lusene, you don't make millions off a book.
Right.
The purpose of a book is not to make you a millionaire. And I was like, what are you talking about? I want to make a lot of money. Because I told him, I was like, why am I not making over $1,000, $10,000 a book? He was like, that is not ideal. And he said, the purpose of a book is exactly what you said, Jay, to help you gain, establish credibility in a particular field. And secondly, to get people to grow your email list. Right. And then you have to add other things to lead up to one of my other mentor who mentioned, once you get them hooked, now you have to start selling other products. So I usually tell all my clients, listen, I know we're launching this book, this is going to cost and so forth, but please understand that the purpose of this book, you're gonna earn the rewards on the back end, right? You're gonna earn the rewards, not initially, because if you make $5,000 on a book, that's good, right? But the purpose is really to get all those email lists, potential customers, where you can be able to make 6 figures on it or potentially more. So I always coach my clients to that. You're not going to get rich off a book. If you're looking to get rich off a book, no, you're going to get rich off selling your story. Like I've had speaking engagement ranging from 3,000 to 10,000. But the reason why I got a speaking engagement was because of a book that cost $20 on Amazon. So those are some of the things that you actually can get from a book. And I tell my clients, so don't look at it as, oh man, I only made $200 from my book. You can give your book away for free, get people to get on your email list, or you can go to school and say, hey, I will give 20 of my books away if you guys give me an opportunity to speak, even if it's free. Now that's content that you can be able to upload, and people that's another form of credibility. Right. So, yeah.
And benefit number 3, a little extra one for everyone out there. A book is one of the best forms of viral marketing. If you're able to either afford to send out physical copies or ask people to pay like a $7 print and ship just to cover your cost for that book, people love to take pictures of what they're reading and then tag people. So highly recommend for anyone with a book out there, pay the extra money, get it printed, get it into as many hands as possible. Once people start sharing what they're reading, it's one of the most viral things that you can do. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of leaders who sell and write books have a lot of success in this exact same model. I think right behind me. Yeah, I've got a bunch of people who have been on my podcast. John Lee Dumas sent me like 100 books just for free. Just sent me. They got a big old box full of his books. I've been giving them out. You know, they take pictures. People take pictures and share them, and it pays for itself. Wow. It's a really cool phenomenon. So highly recommend everyone who's got a book. It's a couple steps now to actually get this uploaded for print and ship. You don't need to buy 500 books up front. You can do a print and ship that costs you like $10. So little tidbit of tactics there for you as well. Talk to me a little bit about your value ladder. What are some things that you found success in with your offer? Is it a digital course? Is it personal consulting? Do you do group coaching? Do you do masterminds? What have you found success in, and what does the future look like for you?
So as of right now, my success has been in digital course and also consulting, group coaching. So I do group coaching. The goal is to make $1 million off my digital products and my group coaching before I go into a mastermind. I've had the opportunities of being on some of my 8-9 figure mentors platform. But one of the things that I have realized is I want to grow my business to a 7-figure while I'm in the military because I can sell that. I can market that. There's no captain in the military that's doing what I'm doing on a digital scale. Right. So, and I believe in my vision and in what I'm doing, that I can be able to take a client from being a nobody with their story and helping them sell their story to where they can have multiple ways of making money, whether that's a digital product, digital course, and coaching program of their own. So that's something I can do from a laptop. Currently, I have over 10 people in my mentorship. I just started it 3 months ago. So that's the ladder for me. Once I make 7-figure, because making 7-figure, that's the next step. Once I make 7 figures in my mentorship, then obviously, there's bragging rights. There's like, hey, I've helped over 100 entrepreneurs make 6 figures. I have a system that over 100 or 200 entrepreneurs have made 6 figures. So mastermind is maybe 2.5 years from now. But I want to keep on growing people in my group coaching for right now.
Right. And kind of the premise there is there's so many things that you can do. It's really beneficial to do them all well. Like you said, prove that you can have success in a system that you put, 9 out of 10 people into the system, 9 out of 10 people will have success, and they'll make 6 figures in their business. And it sounds like you're already kind of working on it, on your way there. So that's awesome. And it's, really easy. It's low hanging fruit to help a lot of people that don't know what they're doing in the marketing world, in the branding world, in the offer space. So there's so much room there for growth and to help a lot of people gain that freedom. And you're doing this in the military. You're still active in the military.
Yeah, so currently I'm still active, but I'm doing all this in the military with the time that I have. Yeah. I just recently graduated with my master's in public relations. So it's time consuming, but I really believe that for me, I always try to stand out, and I always tell people in any market you want to be like yourself. You're a doctor and you're an entrepreneur. That's scalable. That's something you can sell. Right? Because there's not too many doctors that are, or that have been a doctor that are an entrepreneur, and you own your own PR. So it's, it's something that sells, and you can sell that for the rest of your life. So for me, I can sell being an entrepreneur in the military, making, over 20 to 25,000 a month, outside of my 9 to 5. Right. And I can sell that and relate to people that are actually working 9 to 5, say it is possible. And then as I continue to get better, because one thing I always tell people is like, you want to have enough skin in the game. And you mentioned this, Jay, you want to have success, right? You want to have proven success, proven results. So when I first started off, and I coach over 100 clients, and I help them save over $750,000 in depth with credit repair. So I had the ammunition to now, went back to school, learn about branding, brand myself, got a couple PR publications. Now I want to coach someone, take them through a transition. And once I do that now, and I make 7 figures doing that, which is really, it's easy. Like I said,
88 grand a month. It's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's about probably 6 to 8 clients, a month for myself. So that's something that's easy. But most of the time, we don't believe that. For me, I believe that. I've been in rooms with, like I said, a lot of my mentors are 8, 9 figures. So when you're in rooms where people are making $100K a month, $200K a month, it just pushes you, right? So that's why I believe I can do this in the military. And once that happened, I would get out as a multimillionaire. And for the rest of my life, I'll probably continue to do my business. And I have other businesses too that I'm doing as far as investment and real estate. So
don't let anyone tell you can't do it. I started and sold my first 7-figure company while I was in medical school. So people will try and put you in a box and say, how do you balance this? The military is going to be like, you can't do both. You can do both. It's all about working efficiently, working weekends a lot of the time. But it's absolutely possible, man. You've got this.
I have no life, Jay, but you know what? It's okay because the goal is to help. The goal is to add value. I'm okay with it. I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so I'm okay. So
now's the time.
It's all about exactly. It's all about being efficient, and I think when you understand that you can create something and you have a gift, and you are efficient at it, a lot of people will buy into, especially if your story is something that resonates with people are going to buy into it. And you distinguish yourself, right? Like I said, it's not a lot of people in the military that's doing this. It's not a lot of people that have a master's, entrepreneurs that have a master's degree. So all those things I can be able to market to certain people, right? I can have multiple ads targeting multiple people to resonate with me. I'm Liberian. I grew up in a refugee camp, all these things. So these are all things that I tell my team, hey, we're going to sell this. We're going to see who can be able to, who can we able to get with this story so we can bring into the program so we can be able to help them. It's all about selling your story. I think Gary Vee or somebody said this, everything is marketing and everything is content. Once you understand those 2 principles, you're golden, man. So yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more. And add sales in there. You've got everything in life, right? Attracting and then closing. And in every relationship, every communication that you have with somebody. All right, brother. Just to kind of close up here, I've got a question that I ask everybody who's on this show, which is titled Mentors Collective. Obviously, you've learned a lot in your entrepreneurial journey. Tell me the one person or guru that everyone here will know that has been a big inspiration to you.
Man, that is tough, man. I'm gonna be honest, man. This is, it's not really a field that I want to go in, but I would say Grant Cardone. I would say Grant Cardone because I have learned so much, not just in real estate. I'm not in real estate, right? But I've learned so much from just Grant Cardone free stuff, like tremendously. Like that guy, whenever I have the opportunity to go to his conference, he has really impacted my lives, not in terms of just business, because a lot of the things he talk about is so relatable to my story. And I have read his books. I think one of the things he said the reason why he authored several books was because when he holds conferences, he can be able to sell those books, and he makes over $1 million on his books that he had written 10 years ago. And that's one of the reasons that's a gem. I was like, well, before I get out of the military, I want to publish at least 8 books. When I start holding conferences and stuff, I can be able to sell it, right? So Grant Cardone, I would say, man, he has been a huge, I have personal mentors, that I have phones I can call, but I got to give it up to him from far. Just listen to his free stuff. Oh man, it's gem, and I constantly feed my mind like a drug with his information. So yes, I would say Grant Cardone.
Love that. He's definitely a controversial figure. A lot of people like him. A lot of people hate him. But you can't argue with the man is effective. Right. He knows how to get attention, and he's at where he is now for a reason. So when someone's doing better than you, I don't care if you don't like them, you got something to learn from them. So love that you said that. And funny story, my little sister was actually his personal publicist for about 6 months. So I got all kinds of Grant Cardone and Elena stories. But just a little side note. Good. They're an interesting people. All right, brother.
On a personal level, then, yes.
Lusene, first of all, for the audience, for the listeners, Lusene was nice enough to offer a free consultation if anyone wants to speak to him to see if you might be a good fit for his coaching program, or just for some general questions or advice that he might be able to offer you if you're on this journey and this is a route that you want to take. But Lusene, where's the best place for listeners to get a hold of you, send you a message, and follow your journey?
So the best place for anybody to get in contact with me is through Instagram. I am most active on the Instagrams, and in the link in my bio, you can be able to schedule a consultation. Someone from my team is going to get with you, or I can talk to you, and then I can be able to see how you fit into our program and how we can actually help sell your story and create multiple digital products so that you can be way on your way of making 6 figures or more.
All right, beautiful. This was an awesome conversation. I'm glad to have finally met you in person virtually. And thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep crushing it. And thank you for speaking to some of our listeners here. And if you're listening and you love this episode, go shoot Lusene a follow on Instagram. He's got over 30,000 followers, a lot of good content on there. I follow him myself. So go ahead and do that and leave a 5-star review if you haven't already on this podcast. Thank you for another episode of Mentors. Talk soon.